Elon Musk has all but acquired Twitter. Free speech absolution looks to be a-coming. But what will he do with this power, and why are they so afraid? But first, Miss Monica, how are you today?
Oh, it is a beautiful day in the mitten, and I am looking forward to all of the things that are to come. We've got a lot of breaking news on Elon Musk and all of the tweets that have gone out over the weekend.
I was going to say breaking is a relative term. I mean, we had a bit of a rocky week last week with illness sweeping through and all this stuff. So it's good to be back on our footing. And yes, it is semi-breaking to us at least.
Well, it's just been a nice weekend where when I did get on Twitter, which before... I mean, within the last couple of years, Twitter has not been a major part of my life.
No, Twitter's been a liberal cesspool ever since, like, 2016.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then when you got banned, and
Yeah.
for sharing a chart from, wasn't it like a government site?
It doesn't matter. I mean, Crowder got banned for quoting the CDC, so
yes,
it doesn't matter.
Yes.
They ban you because they don't like you.
So it was one of those things where I turned a blind eye to it, and it just did not become part of our routine.
Yeah, I uninstalled it.
And now here comes Elon Musk swinging in.
The
and
hero we deserve, man.
He's not even officially bought it yet.
No.
It hasn't gone through, but they've changed their algorithms already.
Oh, hardcore, too. I mean, I believe I covered it Wednesday just to show some of the changes. And, of course, we can't officially say anything has been done. All we can do is speculate and, I guess, kind of guess at what this mystery or this conspiracy seems to be happening, where for some reason, people who are in any way identified as right-wing, even mildly conservative, their subscriber counts started jumping, and not by any small amount. We're talking...
Thousands?
Like tens to hundreds of thousands. And for some reason, people on the left saw theirs, prominent people on the left, like either politicians, celebrities, whatever, because we were looking at tweets from like even Mark Hamill saying he had lost like 8,000, and it was across the board. And the weird thing was, it wasn't even all political. Like Katy Perry lost a bunch of subscribers to the point where there's a lot of speculation that maybe, like I said on Wednesday, it was an Enron type situation, and they were doing something behind closed doors that may not.
We know for a fact that they have inflated their numbers.
Yes.
Previously.
Yep.
They've done it twice now.
Mm-hmm.
And both times it was a 3-year stretch where they were saying that things were miscounted. Okay, the first time, maybe. The second time, not so much.
Fool me once.
Exactly.
And that's what it all comes down to.
Some of that is truly like natural ebb and flow. Because as we've seen from the TikTok crowd, that they are losing their minds and posting on all of their TikToks how they have gotten off Twitter and they're so glad to just hand it over to Elon. And I'm like, okay, well, it's not just Elon who's coming.
Yeah, you got to wonder, is this the same group that said that they were going to move to Canada when Trump won in 2016?
It
okay,
is.
just making sure, because I am reminded of, and I won't name names, we'll just call him, how about Martin Luther Cream? Is that a good one? Talcum X, is that a good one? Anyways, prominent left-wing individual, Shaun White, let's name his name, who cares? It's not his real name anyways. He left Twitter in a fantastical fashion. I'm done here. White supremacy is taking over. And everybody celebrated his leaving. And then about 2 hours later, he reactivated his account and tried to say, I never left.
Well,
they can't live without it.
They can't.
Try as they might.
Well, because it is a platform.
Of course.
And that type of personality thrives on being center of the attention. And most conservatives who were on Twitter didn't engage as much.
Well, no.
Because they know the toxic levels of backlash and comments.
The backlash. And it's not even just from other people. Like, I'm a free speech advocate. It's supposed to get toxic because it can. That's the point. Yeah. Both sides of the aisle are supposed to be able to do it, even the crazies. The problem is, you don't speak up, not because you feared the people around you arguing and debating you. Debate, there's a word. But you feared the overlords who didn't want to even hear your opinion, didn't even want to give you a moment, just immediately removing you. And that was the thing.
And a part of it started because we were so sick of the screeching banshees.
Oh, my goodness.
Who would essentially flood the feeds. I mean, and that's what TikTok
Is that what TikTok is? It's interesting that a lot of that screeching is halted since they supposedly didn't change anything, but a lot of bots suddenly disappeared.
Yeah.
And interaction gone. I mean, it's amazing how something like, I think it was, we were just watching something about this. I want to say it was CNN. One of their, no, wait a minute. Nope, it's Alex Kurtzman. It was entertainment related. Alex Kurtzman, who is one of the worst things to happen to, we'll say Star Trek, Star Wars, all this stuff, but it's particularly Star Trek. The worst things that happened to Star Trek ever. He tweeted out about a new show that he had going, right?
Okay.
And the level of interaction with it was like low single digits. I'm not even exaggerating. And this guy has tons and tons of following, tons of supposed clout in the industry, all this stuff to the point where if all of his users were really engaged in what was going on, that tweet would have had, gangbuster likes, retweets, all this stuff, and yet nothing. I don't think it's actual interaction broke double digits. It just shows you that once you pull away the curtain, the emperor has no clothes. They don't really have true support. It's all inflated artificially. And now that they're back being introduced into the real world where other people can go, I disagree. Oh, Lord, they're losing their minds.
Well, before we get into that first article, I want to make sure that we are reminding everyone, if you're watching and you enjoy what you see, or even if you don't enjoy what you see and you want to leave a comment for us so that we can have that back and forth commentary, or you can come on the show.
Don't say the D word.
And voice your own opinion.
Of course.
Like, subscribe, make sure that you leave a comment.
There he is.
We'd love to see all those things. But let's jump into our first article today.
Absolutely. And we actually are starting with an opinion piece from the Seattle Times, really to set the stage for the mentality. Now, granted, this may seem like we're just going to be venting about people on Twitter, that kind of thing. And no, it gets much bigger than that, but this is where you start. So Twitter, Elon Musk, and free speech absolutism. Oh, it's a scary, scary thing right now. Okay, so there seems to be almost as many opinions about whether Elon Musk's acquisition of Twitter will be good for the platform or bad as there are Twitter users. It says about 206 million at last count. Now, keep in mind, Twitter is worldwide. One thing that they never talk about is the percentage of Americans that are actually on and interacting with Twitter, not to mention the percentage of that percentage that are at the top and the most vocal. Yes. It is teeny tiny.
Yeah. I mean, we all know
yes.
the people who tweet a lot and the people who are the blue check marks and the people who are that have the massive following, because we do see them come up in articles.
Of course. And with the algorithm working prior to the change that may or may not happen, they were also pushed to the top.
Yes.
Like you saw them in recommendations, you saw them when you were scrolling. I saw left-wing individuals and I just got tired of blocking them. It was like, stop popping up in my feed, stop forcing it on my throat. Anywho, so let's stipulate that nobody knows whether Musk will be good or bad for Twitter. It all depends on which policies he decides to implement as the platform's owner and how. And this is very interesting. We're two paragraphs into this article, and what do they see? They're not talking about free speech. They're not talking about equal sides. They see an angle.
Yeah.
It all depends on which policies he decides to implement as the platform's owner and how. Like, to them, free speech is about... It's about their speech being free and untethered by pesky other opinions.
Yes.
Like,
well, and that's
the D word.
That's one of the things that watching Jordan Peterson that he talked about when a girl was like, well, why do you get to come on and make this person feel uncomfortable? And he said, well, you're making me feel uncomfortable. So who's right in that situation?
Yep.
Can we move forward knowing that, yes, we as people are allowed to make each other feel uncomfortable, and that's part of growing, that's part of changing, that's part of the idea behind a town square.
Yes, it should be. That's the entire point, is everybody's voice gets to be heard. Whether or not people listen to it is an entirely different thing altogether, but it doesn't matter. The crazy's allowed to say his piece, just like the quote-unquote elite. To some extent, none of the ideas he has floated have been indisputably bad. An edit button allowing tweeters to revise their tweets after posting. It might be good to be able to correct typos, especially if they render a tweet confusing. It might be bad if users can erase statements or opinions that have drawn fire and need to remain in the public sphere. Oh, AOC. We'll get to it in just a second.
And here's the thing. Okay, so they don't have an edit button, but they do have a delete button.
Yeah.
And we've seen a lot of these people
just
who come under fire just delete their statement.
Or they'll tweet something out. They'll go, I didn't quite say that right. They'll delete it. Then they'll retweet it out.
Yes.
I mean, that's okay. An edit button, it's like, okay, sure. I mean, it probably should have been there all along.
Yes.
You could just do it like, I believe Reddit has a system where once you edit it, like the post will have a little asterisk on it showing that you did change something, and other people can see that. But that's
I
okay.
like that idea.
Exactly. There's nothing wrong with having a history. And when people try to just delete things and then, oh no, I didn't tweet anything, and then of course we'd say, well, okay, well we screen capped it. Here it is. Oh yes. No. Anywho, eradicate spam and scammy bots. Again, that is something. But of course they say, good for him if he can do it. Good luck trying.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a whole industry around Twitter, and it's not an expensive industry. If you wanted to, and you could just Google this, you could go see, how artificially inflated followers, likes, anything, and you can pay people. And like I said, it isn't much, but you can pay people just a couple $100 to.
There's all kinds of stuff out there, and it's because more and more people are trying to climb their way to the top.
Yep.
And search optimization and getting quotes from people and making sure that people are engaged. Yeah, of course they're going to inflate that. Of course they're going to try to draw people to their comments. I mean, scammy bots are part of it. So I say good for him for trying.
Well, I mean, a lot of his policies very well could. Like, even just that, verified, because to be verified, you basically have to have clout in the liberal hierarchy for them to verify your account, which puts a little blue check mark next to it and shows, oh, I'm the elite of the elite.
Well, and that's the thing is, but
I was going to say, the point was he was offering that at $5 a month for everybody, and then they actually have the ability to turn off comments from non-verified people, so that eliminates the bots. Sorry, go on.
Well, I mean, that makes sense to an extent, unless you set it up and you pay $5 a month and for your bot to be verified.
That's just it. The nature of bots is it's quantity, not quality. They have thousands, tens of thousands of bots at each person's disposal so that they can run their industry. Because, I mean, if you pay somebody to do this service, I want my things liked, I want my content boosted, then those, let's say 10,000 bots or even 1,000 bots have to be working constantly on all your stuff. I mean, at $5 a pop every month, it's not so profitable at that point, I would imagine. But anywho, this is the interesting part. But one Musk position that needs to be better understood is his claim to be a, quote, free speech absolutist. If that means that users will be able to post anything they wish on Twitter, no matter how redolent they are of, quote, sexual harassment, group harassment, insults, or name-calling, posting private info, threatening to expose private info, violent event denial, violent threats, celebration of violent acts, or any other of the other violations of Twitter rules that currently allow the platform to shut down an account, that would be bad. So, okay, that's a pretty big group to just say this is all bad.
To break it down.
Exactly. The only thing that in that group is the posting private info, exposing private info, that kind of thing. I mean, violent threats. I mean, didn't Elon himself show a screen cap of the mountain of violent threats the left are sending him nonstop right now on Twitter, even posting it publicly, and of course they're not getting banned. So what they're saying is, well, we want the ability to do that. We don't want everybody to have the ability to do that. The peasants get in control. What could possibly happen?
Here's the thing that they need to start looking at is, why is it Twitter's job to protect you from what someone else says about you?
There it is. It's not a safe space.
It's not, and it shouldn't be. And that's the whole point. But freedom of speech does not mean freedom from consequences.
Oh, of course.
If someone goes on there and they're sexually harassing you, deal with it legally.
Exactly.
If someone goes on there and they're threatening you,
or just block them. Well,
yeah. I mean, and that's the thing is that everybody has the ability on Twitter to block whoever they want.
Or, and this is groundbreaking. I mean, if I was sitting here on my Twitter feed, and somebody's saying some choice things to me, and I'm like, oh, and I keep blocking them, but they keep popping back up on different bot accounts. Oh, maybe I should get up and walk away from my computer and go do something else. This is revolutionary thinking here, people. I mean,
but we're talking about people who spend so much time on Twitter.
I understand. Those are the people who live within the bubble that is on the verge of popping. And when the real world comes in, it's going to be a rude awakening. But that's what the first step is. Just go touch grass.
Yes.
Just get up, go touch grass. I'm not going to say there's no such thing as online harassment, because I can't imagine, like we said many times, I'm so happy our childhood wasn't documented online. That online harassment is something that people have to deal with, especially people who are just trying to fit in with their friends and do the things their friends are doing. That happens. But at the same time, it's characters on a screen, and that's all it is.
Well, and for the majority of people, if you don't have the capacity to handle other people's opinion of you, then keep your stuff private.
Boom. If you're going to put yourself out there, you're putting yourself out there. You can't be upset if you get negative criticism of any kind.
Yes, because I am well aware we are probably going to face plenty of negative criticism because of some of our views.
Oh, no way.
But it's also one of those things where I'm okay with people saying whatever they want about my views and my opinions, because I feel like I can put them out there, and I'm not going to back down from the way that I speak, and I don't think that I should have to. I'm not threatening anybody. I'm saying what I believe in, and I think that my kids and the people around me and the society that we're in can benefit from that feedback.
You would think, yeah.
Now, anybody has that right, but be aware that the community can also come back and say, no, there's not a place for you here.
Well, of course.
This is not where you're going to fit in.
Of course, they could try.
But Twitter has stopped that. So now we have a bunch of people going online and posting things for validation purposes.
Yes, of course.
And being validated, even though there's not that many people who believe what they believe.
Right.
So in their mind, they feel like they have this great following of people who, yes, let's charge forward with these super woke, progressive, boys can be girls and girls can be boys.
Just craziness. Just clown world, man.
And fictosexual whatever.
Oh, Lord,
we'll bring that up in another video.
We'll do that one in another
link that
video.
one in the comments below.
I thought it had just gotten beyond nonsense, and then it just, oh, nope, we can keep going.
But then we're validating this and making them feel like it's 100% exactly what everybody else should feel.
Yes, and unfortunately, with that kind of thing being set up, with that kind of world being set up in their heads, it's spilling out elsewhere into like our school systems and into curriculums and that kind of thing. I mean, they think that if you encase them in a bubble, they think that's the world, and suddenly when they don't see things that adhere to their worldview, they feel it's their civic duty to change things in their image. Interestingly enough, though, back to the article. It says Twitter can be a funnel of valuable information, and it can also be the pipeline for a Niagara of unadulterated verbal sewage.
I did love that phrase.
That phrase. That's what I'm saying. I had to make sure I highlighted it. It says Twitter's tendency to magnify the voices of users from the fringe has also arguably contributed to the fragmentation of our national discourse by making it seem that extreme views are closer to the mainstream than they are. Again, I don't think this person realizes how much projection is happening here. But that's okay. The problem for open platforms such as Twitter and Facebook is the abusive and extremist users drive others away by drowning them out or forcing them to vacate. This is sometimes known as the heckler's veto, but that's a relatively mild way of referring to someone being shouted down at public speech. Online, it can be far, far more offensive, especially in a forum such as Twitter, where users can hide behind pseudonyms. So, when they mention being forced out, being forced to vacate, the greatest example I have of this is they literally banned a sitting president.
Yeah.
A sitting president that they did not agree with. They had hated and spouted and tried their hardest to get rid of for years, but they finally banned him. Meanwhile, the Taliban, Al-Qaeda, they still have and are recruiting through accounts on Twitter. They don't care about anything beyond their bubble and their sphere. So all of these arguments about how bad it could get, or all these things, they're not talking about for anyone other than themselves.
Yes,
That's
because
the worst
we've
part.
already seen it.
Yes.
For the conservative side of things.
Oh, yeah.
We can see how easy it was for conservatives to get doxxed.
Oh, yeah. Non-stop.
For conservatives to get harassed by people who don't even know them,
right.
who have nothing to do with their daily lives, and sometimes don't even have anything to do with the situation.
I was going to say, sometimes they're not even in this country.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. That's the thing about such a public square where other countries, other individuals can come in. They can just come in and say, this person has a dumb avatar. I don't like them. Hey, your opinions are dumb. And that's it.
Yep.
And that's all it takes. But interestingly enough, so Elon Musk he steps in. He says, this company could be so much better. I'm going to buy it. He corners them in a brilliant move. Their report was coming out showing that the profits would be crap. So he makes them an offer, amazing offer. They have to accept it. They start losing their minds. What will he do with this power? What does Elon Musk want? What does free speech absolutism mean? Well, from the post-millennial, my friends, you might want to get your kids out of the room because we've seen the devastation that can be wrought at the hands of Elon Musk.
Oh, and one of my favorite people.
Breaking. Elon Musk shreds AOC for whining about his Twitter purchase. Quote, stop hitting on me. I'm really shy, he wrote. Oh, he challenged them. He mocks them. He does what we all want to do. And the best part is, it's a meme. It's a joke. We all laugh at this kind of thing. They can't handle it. He brought humor. That's it. He brought the weapon of humor.
I know.
Oh, my Lord.
Sarcasm is back on Twitter, baby.
Yeah, we got to just show this. So here we go. So Ocasio-Cortez says, tired of having to collectively stress about what explosion of hate crimes is happening because some billionaire with an ego problem unilaterally controls a massive communication platform and skews it because Tucker Carlson and Peter Thiel took him to dinner and made him feel special.
Yeah.
To which Elon Musk replied, stop hitting on me, I'm really shy. Which, of course, and I think they've got it down here. Here it is a throwback to a tweet that AOC herself put out where she said, if Republicans are mad, they can't date me. They can just say that instead of projecting their sexual frustrations onto my boyfriend's feet, you creepy weirdos.
Yeah.
It's starting to get old ignoring the very obvious, strange, and deranged sexual frustrations that underpin the Republican fixation on me, women, and Alphabet Plus people in general. These people clearly need therapy, won't do it, and use politics as their outlet instead. It's really weird. Really? Yeah. Well, AOC, since your defense always seems to be, stop hitting on me, stop trying to date me, maybe you should stop hitting on Mr. Musk. I don't think he's interested. To which she replied, I was talking about Zuckerberg, but okay. She immediately deleted that reply within a minute or two. Luckily, it was screen capped across the internet. She tried to deny it, but wow. This is a beautiful example here. It doesn't matter. Elon Musk doesn't care. He doesn't care about this crap. He doesn't care about, at least, I'm not going to say he doesn't care about the culture war. He obviously does. He's obviously a free speech absolutist who, and we'll get to his next big one here in a second, but he obviously cares enough to step in and say, we have to change this. It's getting bad. But he knows the right way to go about it. You don't step up and throw something in her face and say, how dare you challenge me? I'm trying to do this, blah, 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 blah. You don't engage them on their level. You get above them. How do you get above them? Well, in this case, humor.
Well, so here's the thing that really stood out to me with this. Is that if you look at AOC's original tweet,
right,
she went out of her way to not mention Elon Musk because she knew if she put his name anywhere in there, it would pop up and he would respond.
Yep.
Whereas if she phrased it the way that she did, she was hoping to sneak under his wire and to not have the conservative blowback Hold on.
I am going to say this, and I cannot believe I'm about to say it. I'm not going to defend her because I hate saying I would defend AOC, but I will play devil's advocate. There's no way to put it. I do think she was talking about Zuckerberg because there was a thing where Tucker Carlson or Peter Thiel took him to dinner to try to get him to try to discuss censorship of right-wing individuals on his platforms. That could be what she's referencing. I'm not going to pretend to give AOC any credit. In fact, this probably is run by someone else under her in all realism. But at the same time, like I said, playing devil's advocate, she may not have actually been talking about Elon Musk, but I don't
Well,
care.
either way,
Exactly.
she didn't direct it at someone.
Yep.
She did a passive-aggressive statement.
Yep. Which is the way. This is their way.
And bowing to her audience.
Right.
Because she's already got a ton of followers.
Oh, of course.
So she wants to make sure that they're staying engaged and liking all of her stuff and boosting her opinions. So she's not going to go on the offensive and say, hey, guess what, Elon Musk or Zuckerberg? I hate what you did to the platform.
Yep.
Here's some feedback on how I think you should change it.
Oh, you mean engage in a debate?
Exactly.
Yes. No, they don't do that.
Whereas
No.
Elon's like, all right, this may or may not be directed at me, but you know what? Let's address it.
It's funny enough. Let's run with it.
And you know what? That is okay. I've always liked Elon in the sense that, like, I see some of the moves that he's made, and I wasn't overly familiar with him until the last couple of years.
Of course.
But that was the moment where I'm like, all right, Elon, if you ever get to know my name, I would love to just make you dinner and hang out because you are now my hero.
Yep. However, others see it as it's problematic. From Newsweek, the problem with Elon Musk's political spectrum meme. Now, this isn't actually referring to what we just talked about. We got to show this real quick. This is actually a very old meme. Those that have been around have seen it before, but Elon tweeted it out. I'm going to try to make it big enough where you can see it here on your screen. It's going to be a little weird because it's a Twitter thing. There we go. So it shows 2008, 2012, 2021, and it's a representation of the Overton window shuffling and shifting to the left. We have talked about this numerous times.
Yeah.
And the whole situation here is really us as well, because I don't know if you realize it, but we're pretty liberal on the normal scale of 5 is liberal, or 10 is liberal, 0 is conservative, 5 is the middle of the road. Where we were originally probably just like this guy, around a 6 or a 7. We believe we have conservative values. Actually, I would say 5, leaning 6. But anyways, conservative values are there, but we're also it's a different generation. We grew up with liberal values. We accept certain things that what you would perceive as a hardcore conservative wouldn't, but it doesn't matter. In 2008, we had the left, the right, liberal, conservative, and then there we were, right in the center, leaning left, because certain things could be cool if they happened. And then something happened. And I'm glad that they used 2008, 2012, because, of course, it does tie in with a certain administration moving through the ranks. But anyways, we started to see the left shifting, hardcore shifting. And once certain things with this administration and legislation started to go through, it just started almost like going sideways, free fall.
Yes.
Just wow. So now, as you can see, following this meme, as it continues to go, we don't move. We never moved, and yet now look at us. We are literally happily in the company of not only conservatives but other fellow liberals who are just disillusioned by what happened to their party and what happened to the mentality of. I mean, liberals used to be against war. They used to be hippies. They used to be.
And here's the really funny part, because we had Heather and Nick over the other night, 2 of our friends, who in 2008, I would have seen Heather leaning way left compared to me.
Yeah.
I always thought, like, socially, I was a little left of center, and fiscally, I was a little right of center. And then Heather was a little left of where I was.
Oh, of course, yeah.
But it was great because we had that balance where we could argue about things because she believed way more liberal stances than I did.
Exactly.
And it was fun to hang out and get those different opinions. And it's funny to have them over now and realize that even though she would have been the person standing furthest in the left 2008, she's now caught almost in line with center, even though none of her views have changed.
Isn't that crazy?
And she's like, what is going on with these really intensely liberal? And the thing is, they're trying to make everybody on the right feel bad about their opinions.
It's the worst thing ever, right?
And that's the wrong approach.
Yeah.
We've spent this entire time from 2008 to 2021 being, okay, we'll accept that.
Yep.
Okay, we'll accept that. Okay, we'll widen and accept
gave up
that.
way too much.
Yeah.
We gave up. And unfortunately, that's, there's a lot of debate about the logic of a slippery slope, because it is called a fallacy for a reason, but the existence of a slippery slope. And a lot of people point to the legalization of like gay marriage as the beginning of the slippery slope. truth be told, your opinions or our opinions aside, anyone's opinions aside on whether or not that should have happened on a federal level, the fact that there was a victory achieved meant suddenly, what do we have to fight for anymore? We were a fighting group who's always been oppressed and a minority, but now what do we do? We got to keep fighting. Let's fight for more. Let's add some more letters in here and get some more inclusionary stuff. And the rest of us went, okay, well, we thought you'd be happy with that, but okay, well, maybe that'll make you happy. And then it just continued and continued and continued. And now we're having a national conversation about you know what? Here's what we'll call it. It's the Parental Rights and Education Bill. The left, for some reason, calls it the Don't Say Gay Bill. So you know what I'm going to say? The Wait Till You're 8 bill. Because the bill doesn't go far enough. The bill is only for K through 3rd grade. 4th grade, you're good. So honestly, I think we should frame it like that because it still does not do enough. So if you say the Wait Till You're 8 bill, what do you mean? Well, when you're 8 years old and on, that's when we can start grooming you for these things. What? This is where we're at now. Yeah. We're actually having this conversation on a national stage because whether or not you want to admit that it was right, it was wrong, or anything, we gave a victory, and instead of just taking the victory, they continued, pushed and pushed for more and more, and now here we are. And I mean, say what you will about groups, say what you will about them, but the bigger the group gets, the more ambitious it gets, and the crazier people work their way to the top. It's essentially cultural fascism, as weird as that is to say.
Well, and here's the thing. So I honestly don't care what they do and what extent they want to carry it to, as long as they allow me the same freedom of choice.
Ooh.
And that's where conservatives and
that's a big ass.
Progressives and liberals fall into that slippery slope category of, I honestly, and most conservatives that we know don't care what you do.
Well, of course not.
On your own time with consenting adults.
That's the beautiful thing about the libertarian perspective that our country used to have for each other, which was, and you can I'll do my thing, you do your thing, but I don't want to involve in yours, so keep it away.
And you can identify as whatever it is that you want to identify as.
Of course.
And I don't even need to know that. I mean, if you want to broadcast it out there, fine.
Yeah.
But like we said, with any other thing, when you put yourself out there on the internet, don't expect to be just validated for the sake of being validated. There are people who are going to look at you and go, why would you do that?
Yeah.
And everyone has that same perspective. Everyone has that right. It doesn't matter if it's something that is more common or something that's more unique. The internet's going to come at you. Because that's what the internet does.
Yes.
But now we've got people who are saying you cannot be in a heterosexual relationship. You cannot talk about being in a heterosexual relationship because it is hate speech. Yep. It is attacking us. It is. No, we're not.
Yeah.
We're putting our sexuality out there the same way any of you have done.
Let's just say.
It's just before you assumed that we weren't going to.
Yeah. I was going to say, it's not, the biggest thing is, you're right, people have started to put it out, but by and large, they didn't.
No.
And so with this bubble we spoke about, with this echo chamber, these people really started to believe that everybody was like them, to the point where when somebody wasn't, they were essentially an other.
Yeah.
And they didn't deserve anything. They didn't deserve any wealth, any influence, any power, nothing. And it's a dangerous thing to have. So with Elon coming in, we're definitely going to see some big changes, and we already have. He hasn't even done anything yet, aside from a handshake, good faith. I believe he signed the papers, and things are transitioning. But
these deals don't happen overnight.
Well, this whole thing happened with the users miraculously from Monday to Tuesday.
No, I'm talking huge. Like when you purchase a company.
Oh, no,
when
you
purchase real estate. When it's not like
it's a long process.
I'm gonna buy this. Let's sign the paperwork.
Here's your money. Get out of my building.
Exactly.
Yes.
I'm gonna turn it into a homeless shelter.
Yeah. I hope he does that.
But it's amazing how quickly when he takes this public company and goes under contract to purchase it and make it a private company, how quickly the Biden administration responded.
Absolutely, and we're going to hop to that. All I was going to say was the gist of that last article with that meme was they weren't happy about it, and as you scroll down the article, they tried their very, very, very hardest to show, no, it's the right who went extreme. I mean, it is pathetic, but from the Daily Mail, let me just make that a little bigger. This is where things get a little concerning. Psaki gives full-throated defense of Biden's new, quote, disinformation czar, says she's an expert with extensive qualifications, and points out the board was set up under Trump. DeSantis leads backlash against Biden for trying to silence critics. So, as a result of Elon Musk buying Twitter, there has been essentially our government under Biden is creating, for lack of better words, a ministry of truth. It's actually right here, the Disinformation Governance Board, which really makes you wonder how much of an influence they had in Twitter, how much of it they were happily either indirectly or directly controlling, to the point where the threat of an outsider buying in, they're freaking out and essentially creating, like I said, a ministry of truth. The interesting thing about this, of course, is how this individual who, and I'm sure they'll quote this in here, oh, it's right there actually, in 2020, under President Trump, when he was creating this, she came out and said the government should not have the ability to do these things. They should not. But now that she's in the chair, well, you know how this goes with them. So White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki defended the head of President Biden's Disinformation Governance Board. Ridiculous. She also slammed the board's critics, noting its existence goes back to the Trump administration, which we knew about. Let's see here. So the girl's name, Nina Jankowicz. It says Republicans have attacked Nina Jankowicz, who was chosen to head the board as a Russia expert, and one senator released a video of her singing about misinformation to the tune of a Mary Poppins song, Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. We saw this video. I'm not going to subject you to this video, but it was creepy.
It was very creepy.
It's okay to be enthusiastic about things and to maybe, bust out your acting chops, because apparently this girl was a theater major.
I mean, we all have high school tapes that we don't want to be seen.
Bust out our acting chops to get a good message across, but the things that she was saying in this delightful little song was, Stalin would be proud. It was insane.
You can clearly see her political views.
You could see it in the eyes, but yes. Yes. So Jankowicz, who has researched Russian misinformation tactics and online harassment, is author of the book How to Lose the Information War, Russia, Fake News, and the Future of Conflict. She has also advised the Ukrainian government on strategic communications, according to the Wilson Center think tank, where she served as a global fellow. This is very interesting to me that this person, again, is so close to what's going on in Ukraine. I'm fighting the tinfoil urges here about what it is. Let's see this girl's picture. I immediately said to Monica when I saw this girl's picture, you scroll down, you can see it. It looks like they took Dolores Umbridge from Harry Potter and Gretchen Whitmer and just smashed them together. And now here's our new Mary Poppins of disinformation. This is a step in the absolute wrong direction. I'm all about Ron DeSantis, who came out and said, you cannot have a ministry of truth in this country. We're not going to let Biden get away with this one, so we'll be fighting back. When you're not doing well, you have two options. You can try to do better, or you can try to silence your critics.
Yes.
The Biden administration is doing the latter. You can't come across a fascist dictator throughout history without hearing about their ministry of truth.
Yep.
Obviously, we can always go back to Hitler, and him and Goebbels had a ministry of truth. Stalin had a ministry of truth. Obviously, the CCP is quite adamant on what is considered to be the truth. Kim Jong-un. It's all there. Mm-hmm. They can't stifle what they consider to be disinformation, so now they're punishing it.
And it's really interesting because if you listen to her sing-song Mary Poppins video...
Oh, it's down below. Go on, sorry.
All of the things that she talks about have been proven true. So
she did make it a point to say that the Hunter Biden laptop was a Donald Trump campaign.
Donald Trump campaign.
The campaign, what was the word she used? A product of the Trump campaign.
Yes.
That's what it was.
Yep. Yes.
Yep.
Which is hilarious to see someone who is now tasked with deciding what we can and cannot believe in.
Oh, actually, here, let me just pop this right back up real quick. If we scroll down, God, see, there's a still from that video. It says in March 2020, she also said on COVID restrictions, quote, lock us down. People are not taking this COVID seriously. She's literally begging for government intervention, like all of these leftists, showing how little they know of history, that they're begging for the government to have more power. Oh, I don't even want to read the lyrics to her thing, but it says information. I'm going to read them. I'm not going to sing them. Information laundering is really quite ferocious. It's when a huckster takes some lies and makes them sound precocious.
Yeah.
I mean, again, props on the rhymes. Whatever, I'll say it. Geez.
Well, she should know this because this is straight out of their playbook.
Yeah, exactly.
This is how you make people believe what you're saying.
She says, and again, these are lyrics, mind you, when Rudy Giuliani shared bad intel from Ukraine, or when TikTok influencers say COVID can't cause pain, they're laundering disinfo, and we really should take note. I have to keep slowing down so I don't end up singing it. And not support their lies with our wallet, voice, or vote.
And that one I will believe.
Wow.
That one
yes,
I will say
you.
yes.
I 100% agree with her there. Yes.
Yes.
This is insane.
This is the one area that we can absolutely believe the same thing as her. We will not support your lies with our wallet, voice, or vote.
Exactly. And it gets nuttier from there. She's, like you said, the crap she's spouting, they're Biden campaign talking points. Literally, it's all just everything they say about anyone else. Republicans, Trump, conservatives, it's all projection.
Yeah.
That's all it is. Every single time. The fact that she's, I tell you what, interestingly enough, there has been an update on this because that article was actually from, like I said, we missed this last week. This one was actually from, the 29th of April. I actually have something from Breitbart here that's actually from yesterday. And this is from Mayorkas, who was defending her. This is the Secretary of Homeland Security, Alejandro Mayorkas. There it is. He said the Disinformation Board won't infringe on free speech or monitor Americans. So they are already running defense on this.
Except for it is a branch of the Department of Homeland Security.
There it is. I was just going to say that. That right there.
Nothing to do with external. Nope. This is all.
Yep.
What are your citizens saying about you and your governance?
Yep. What are they saying about you? How can you best stifle them? And this is, of course, coming right on the heels of anyone with a bank transaction over $500 needs to be monitored by the IRS. So say it's Joe Biden. This is just, it's government overreach. And of course that term gets thrown around a lot, but holy crap. You're right. It's the Secretary of Homeland Security, and he's saying that it won't infringe and monitor Americans. Now, let's see. Dana Bash said, let's talk about what your department is calling the Disinformation Governance Board that you unveiled this week. Republicans are calling it Orwellian and comparing it to the Ministry of Truth in the novel 1984. I mean, it's exactly what it is. But anyways, can you clarify what exactly is this? What exactly will this Disinformation Governance Board do? Will it monitor American citizens? Let's hear the spin. He says, I'm very pleased to do so. It's clear. I mean, those criticisms are precisely the opposite of what the small working group within the Department of Homeland Security will do. And I think we probably could have done a better job of communicating what it does and does not do. Better job communicating. That's literally, you know what, never mind.
Literally what his job is?
Yeah. Yes. The fact is that disinformation that creates a threat to the security of the homeland is our responsibility to address. And this department has been addressing it for years.
Yeah.
So what it does, it works to ensure that the way in which we address threats, the connectivity between threats and acts of violence are addressed without infringing on free speech, protecting civil rights and civil liberties, the right of privacy. And the board, this internal working group, will draw from best practices and communicate one of those best practices to the operators because the board does not have operational authority. She's then followed up. Will American citizens be monitored by this Department of Homeland Security? No. The board does not have any operational capability. What it will do is gather together best practices in addressing the threat of disinformation from foreign state adversaries, from the cartels, and disseminate those best practices to the operators that have been executing and addressing this threat for years.
Yes.
Wow. So executing and addressing this threat for years. How long has Homeland Security been around, and how good have they been in their time here? Exactly. This is the opposite of what we as a country need to be doing. Mm-hmm. They are denying rights. They are removing rights under the guise of protecting them. They're giving the federal government more power, giving themselves more power. And we're getting dangerously close to a point where that power cannot be taken back. Well,
Yes.
not peacefully.
Well, and now that they've pushed another of their lackeys into the Supreme Court.
Oh, jeez.
And we're seeing...
Thanks, Republicans.
More judges who are activists.
Yes. Nonstop activism.
Yes. Instead of... I mean, if you want to change the law, don't become a judge. That is not what a judge does.
Nope.
Become a legislator.
Yep. But laws don't mean anything when Mr. Bo Jiden can just decree something and everybody goes, okie dokie, guess we'll enforce it.
Yeah. Well, and the whole idea that this board was created under Trump, every party is going to throw ideas out there on what next steps can be.
Yep.
It will always be an idea.
Yep.
Until there's action behind it. So far, we haven't seen a whole lot of action up until Elon Musk.
I was just going to say, there it is.
And then all of a sudden, we have a disinformation board.
Really makes you wonder how much influence they had in Twitter, how much the CIA, how much they were really in there, to the point where, like you said, someone from the outside, private individual, steps in and goes, I'd like to buy the right to walk in that building and see what's going on.
Yep.
And then they just lose their minds, and suddenly we've created a new government disinformation board.
Yes. See, and
the timing of it, of course, ridiculous.
We as the American people have to peel this back and go, okay, we need to lessen government constraints.
Federal government needs to go away.
It needs to be more independent choices.
Yep.
And less overhead.
Yeah.
Just stop with all of this already.
No, unfortunately,
this is ridiculous.
They can't. It's beyond their ability to stop. All they can do is grasp for more power, and that's what this is turning into. I mean, I don't know how this story ends. It is frightening, and perhaps it does end with thought agents and a full 1984 and that kind of thing.
That's a scary thought.
It is a scary thought. I mean, what was that thing we were watching the other day where I said it reminds me of Minority Report because they were like prosecuting people based on intent or something? They hadn't actually. You showed me this. We'll have to bring it up. But it was along those lines of like, now you're talking about thought crimes.
Yes.
Which are not crimes.
That stemmed from the disinformation board because someone who was looking at their policies was like, well, we can monitor people for potential action.
Yep. Potential action. Yes. There it is.
Yep.
I was like, that's straight out of Minority Report.
And have we seen any information on this woman and why she's qualified? I know she came out and said that she herself is a Russian disinformation expert. Yeah. But what has put her at that level? Is this like Steven Crowder coming out as that woman and claiming that he's a... What was it?
Well, that's the thing. It was a bad acceptance.
He was a best-selling author,
and he infiltrated it by just essentially dressing in fat drag and parroting every stereotype.
And he was asked to peer review people's papers.
Oh, yeah. He immediately got in. They immediately claimed he was stunning and brave. He had a page on their website, and it was remarkably easy. But I'm noticing. I mean, they live in a fantasy land. I mean, it's a straight up clown world where all they need to say is, I'm the biggest expert on this.
Well, this
no
is
one
that
will
fake
vet
it till
these
you
people.
make it.
Exactly.
Mentality.
No one's going to vet them. She's done something related to this or that, and so her name is floated, and now it's like, oh, we need someone. Let's take her. I don't think they were impressed by her TikToking, so maybe it was something else. I mean, again, this is getting into tinfoil hat situation.
Well, maybe they were impressed with her TikToking. Remember, they hired that influencer.
Oh God, yes.
And I made you watch this video.
God, that was terrible.
Oh, it was hilarious.
I mean, yes, but it was terrible for our country.
It was absolutely hilarious, and I cringed to think how many tax dollars went into supporting that type of thing.
Who knows? Who knows? I mean, this is, you want to talk about a slippery slope. We're on it. We're slippery slope just flying right downwards with Mr. Bo Jiden and Hunter and Ukraine and all this crap just dragging us into the pit. I don't know what's going to happen. All I know is this is a monster step in the wrong direction, and I don't know why DeSantis is literally the only guy who's speaking out about it.
Well, so, I mean, he's just one of those people who's willing to step forward
We need more of them.
We need more of them. And if you are going to be one of them, make sure that you like, subscribe, and comment on the videos.
Sure.
We would love to see more engagement and more people out there who are willing to raise their voice and say, wait a second. Disinformation Board, Ministry of Truth, this isn't right.
This is insane. So. Exactly. Fabulous. Well, I think that about wraps it up. You got anything else you want to add?
We got a couple other videos to cover later on, and I will you'll see those in the playlist.
We'll get to it when we get to it. All right, cool. That's all for us for now, so we will see everybody later.